Yes, it hurts.
Yes, it hurts.
In my heart that we're star-crossed.
We're like lollipops and caviar.
Star-crossed.
Hello and welcome to Night After Night, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I'm Lisa Fernandes and...
Hello, I am Chris Jayawardena, co-host. Hello.
And we are up to the second to last episode of the season. This is the almost the end of the first season of Laverne and Shirley. And this episode's pretty darn good. It's from Suds to Stardom. It was directed by sitcom legend James Burrows. It was written by Alan Buzz Cohan, who's a fascinating figure. But they're both fascinating figures. I'm pretty sure Chris has some facts about them both.
Yeah, in the case of James Burrows, my goodness, this man has done an incredible amount of television directing. And for having started as far back as 1974, as of this recording, he is still considered active in the entertainment industry as a television director, having also been credited with directing the last at least 2 seasons of Will and Grace, according to Wikipedia. He has also done over 15 episodes of Friends, worked on Frasier, married Tyler Moore. What was it, like 4 or 5 episodes of Taxi, which I like Taxi actually quite a bit.
Yeah.
Bob Newhart,
excellent.
and as well as multiple episodes of Laverne and Shirley. I mean, this guy is a legend. He's incredibly to be still working at that age. Shows that it's reliability, sharp mind, incredible person probably to work with. Now it's like now I'm fascinated. Like I want to interview this guy. I need to look this up.
He's a sitcom god. He is a sitcom god. Absolutely. What Buzz Cohen?
And for Buzz Cohen was known as a longtime Carol Burnett writer, and unfortunately, this was the only Laverne and Shirley episode he did, according to IMDb. But he ended up going on to work for writing for a lot of award shows through the 80s, the 90s, and so forth, and including basically doing gags or bits and essentially writing for like the mostly like for the Emmys and award shows of that nature. What's incredible though is it ends up becoming the father to 2 well-known other television people, including Genji Cohen, who was the creator of Weeds as well as Orange is the New Black. And I actually did not take my note on what the son did, which I do help me rescue.
He co-wrote a lot of episodes of the Dennis Miller Show, and he co-wrote Wonder Years. I believe he won an Emmy for writing the Wonder Years. I believe.
Ah, yes.
All 3 Coens have won Emmys, and it's a special feat. It's a rare feat, and I think they are the only father-son-daughter team who have ever won an Emmy. All 3 have won Emmys.
Here we go. That was the connection that was significant about David Cohen. Also David Cohen is the creator of Will and Grace, which then means that the writer of this episode had a kid who then went on to create a show that the director of this episode ended up directing a ton of episodes for. Yes. So yeah, very interesting.
That's really neat. You gotta think about how the universe works and you hear about something like that. I think that's really it's really cool.
Absolutely. Especially given the fact that it essentially, as we've kind of sort of discussed, as Laverne and Shirley as a show, like it ended up having all this talent come in and out that ended up going on to do other stuff and become, cult actors or, legendary television directors, and just having these connections. It's a lot of fun. It's really cool.
Yes. And even the stars themselves, they went on to do all these different amazing things. It's kind of the show is cursed and lucky at the same time, in a lot of ways, and we'll be getting there. We will get there. Buy the T-shirt, which doesn't exist yet. Yeah. Here's what the episode is about. In the first of 4 Shotz talent show episodes, the girls beg Carmine to coach them for their upcoming audition. Unfortunately, making it into the show means impressing Gloria Lubitz, another of Laverne's rivals, who has turned them down multiple times. Gloria spread rumors around that Laverne was easy, so Laverne retaliated by gluing her cheese to her white bread. And now the girls had to put on a awful performance to win her attention, or once again be shut out of the production. The girls don't have much in the way of performing skill, and they predictably miss out on a slot, enraging Shirley as well as Laverne this time. But Gloria has plans to humiliate the worst act on stage for the finale of the show. And when Squiggy declares he has too much pride to endure such a thing, the girls are unwillingly enlisted to perform before a backdrop of dancing, grass-skirted fellow employees. So what do you think about this one?
This was an interesting kind of twist and fun. The one thing I really liked about this is it's a cool way of also showing some of the talents of some of the folks, both the like getting to see, the first appearance of Lenny and the Squigtones in the show, which is amazing.
Yes.
And I love the song for that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
as well, even the guest spot of Leland Palmer playing Gloria is it's actually really strong. It's a really strong performance, and she's amazing there. And there's again, it's the timing, it's the body language, the expressions on her face are incredible. And there's it's just it's interesting that it's a very contained episode. It's another one where there's only like, I want to say like 2 or 3, I feel like 3 locations really, and yet it feels, by doing so, it allows them to focus on making all of the beats kind of work really well. And again, like background players and supporting players, this being directed by, a legendary director makes a lot of sense because there's a lot of focus and attention put into many of the pieces that make up the episode's place.
Yes. This is really strong. I think the conclusion might have been done with a little bit of tweaking to make it stronger.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Laverne really needs to get her revenge on Gloria, and she never gets her revenge on Gloria.
Right.
That's my biggest problem with this episode.
Yeah.
She never gets her comeuppance. Never, ever, ever, ever. She basically gets to humiliate the girls, and the girls kind of endure it, but then on the other hand, they're happy because they get to get on stage and they get to perform.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the button, but it doesn't feel like enough of a button. You know?
And exactly. It's a good point. I mean, as much as positive as I feel about the stuff I really enjoyed about the episode, I agree that there are those interesting glaring flaws, and it's where I have to kind of figure out for myself. I'm still trying to figure that out, like how much of it am I willing to forgive, because this sort of, even though the scenario, it sounds like, comes back, Gloria herself that never comes back as a character, so we never get a payoff to that, merely that the characters have to just learn to live with them, essentially, or live with what they did or what happened.
Yeah. I mean, she was basically running around calling Laverne a slut.
Right. Which is
the 1950s version of calling her a whore.
Right.
Repeatedly.
Yeah.
In public.
Exactly.
And Laverne has not hit those heights to where the show will Flanderize her towards later. Mm-hmm. Where awful things will happen. We'll get there. Eventually. She's... Yeah. Season 8. God. Pickles. Nuns. Pickles. Nuns. But and the only revenge she takes on her is gluing her cheese to her white bread. And then, and then Gloria ultimately gets her back, and she doesn't, get that retaliation, and it's not like what happened in the bowling episode, where all these horrible things are happening between her and Karen. She gets her revenge on Karen. You can kind of see the point that the episode's trying to make, that it doesn't matter, you don't need your revenge if you get your moment in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, it's not very satisfying. It needs to be more satisfying, is my... I say as I sit here and criticize an Emmy-winning writer, but it needs to be more satisfying.
Yeah, we don't know the circumstances, though, of the writing process, and, because one of my notes for sure was with this episode, it tackles material that's very common of the 60s sitcom to me.
Yeah.
And these are tropes that I honestly, in most shows, I hate these tropes. I don't like them. This show has really had to win me over to appreciating them. And I think it's because it's this show, because I like these characters. I like the tone of it, because there is this more sympathy and weight from the sense that Gloria is really making fun of everyone, and the idea that the girls have to realize they can either, take the offense and be angry and upset about it, or just kind of roll with it and say, I'm not going to let it keep me down, which is it's like because I've been in similar situations, when I've gotten my work out there before an audience, where, it's having any sort of reaction is kind of nice when, you've worked so hard on something, you show it to a crowd and all you get is pin drop silence, and you were expecting at least something and you get nothing. And I understand the need to do that, but at the same time, I agree. Yeah, it's a payoff is nice, and because we watch art in many ways for catharsis, and we don't
Yes.
necessarily get the catharsis. We just get to have fun, relaxing, and watching them be goofballs. And
Yeah.
yeah, the little extra oomph would be nice.
Yeah. 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 It depends on how stereotypically sitcom you want to go in the end. It depends on if it's okay, to have that little twist, or if it's okay to put the button on just like you want the button put on.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, like I said, as we just said, I personally just needed that little, that's that little zhuzh. That's that little zhuzh is missing for me for this episode. I like a lot of different pieces of it, though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A lot of different places. As you said, this is the first time we get to see Lenny and the Squigtones, and the performance is legendary.
Mm-hmm.
It is perfect.
Yeah.
You absolutely can hear the boys' writing voices in these songs. Michael and David wrote the music, they wrote the songs. Michael will write a lot of songs for the series as we go on. He and David co-write all of Lenny and Squiggy material with these songs. You could tell.
God, I love it so much. And when I began to pick apart and realize what I was hearing and the lyrics are star-crossed, I adore it so much, because it's so goofy, and yet it's like this great balance of, it's actually great doo-wop rock. It's got the humor of Squiggy's voice singing it, where it's like it gets almost edgy into the punk side almost, and then you hear the lyrics and it's like, oh God.
This is definitely their idea of what a 50s teen tragedy song would sound like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They'll just commit suicide at the end after this forbidden romance, and that's. But the boys have their dark point, like when it comes to that. Like, there is a moment in season 6 where they're all playing Truth or Dare, or To Tell the Truth. This is a version of Truth or Dare, with their new neighbor Rhonda. And Lenny is asked, "What would you do if you only had 12 hours to live?" And he goes, "I'd kill myself."
Oh my God! Oh my God!
That's what he says. So you can see how this kind of informs his character, and you can kind of see how this works within the songwriting. You could tell, like, this is more of his voice in a song. I would say Night After Night is more Squiggy's voice. It's got a lot more cynical, a lot more. Who wants to sleep with the same broad night after night? Mm-hmm. That's something Squiggy would say.
Right. Whereas here it's the regular Romeo and Juliet, going together like lollipops and caviar. The sort of romanticized, self-destruction at the conclusion. Again,
that's just very Lenny.
I mean, this is 1976. Punk was starting to happen, Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember when the first Ramones album was out, but we're getting, when the show was being made, it was getting there. So
it would have to be Sex Pistols first.
Yeah, Sex Pistols first. Yeah, exactly.
But I love how they created this in-character band. I love the fiction that they created for this in-character band, which they eventually, kind of takes off. It takes off even more than the album that Penny and Cindy recorded in character as Laverne and Shirley, which I just detailed on our Twitter. Please go look at that. Go dig up that thread.
Yeah.
Because I worked hard on it.
Yeah, that was an adventure to read through that. That was really excellent work.
It's fun. It was a fun subject to research. But the Lenny and the Squigtones band takes off in a lot of different ways. They took the band on tour. They recorded a live album. Apparently, the original concept for it was not to be a live album. They wanted to do a garage band kind of album, where you would have skits in between that stood standing for rehearsal chatter. And the Casablanca didn't want that. The label they signed with, so they ended up doing a live album, and it kind of leads to them going a lot of different places because of that. They end up on American Bandstand in character performing.
Yeah, I love that video. That clip that's out there.
Same.
Oh.
And for the purpose of the band, David and Michael created this fiction where they discovered Lenny and Squiggy performing in Pewaukee, Wisconsin,
Mhm.
and brought them to the world stage. So they're real. They exist in the quote unquote real world, but Laverne and Shirley don't. Which I think is the best twist.
It's so good. I love that, and especially the way they deliver that story on the American Bandstand, which you can find that clip on YouTube of their performance there. It's that was so good.
Look it up. We'll probably put in the info for this episode.
Oh, certainly, yeah, and also for fans of This Is Spinal Tap, there is a one familiar face, I believe, in the back.
Yes, that would be Christopher Guest. He plays guitar. He plays guitar on multiple appearances for the band. He was portraying in a very early version of Nigel Tufnell, who he portrays on Spinal Tap. So it's really, really interesting. They were kind of workshopping Spinal Tap as they were going along. One of the earliest performances I think that exists of them in character as these characters came in 1979, I think. There's video of that where they did that for a special. It's interesting how a bit will change with time, like how the boys went from these dudes grabbing their dicks and yelling at women to these sensitive, more nuanced characters. And they are nuanced. The boys will develop nuance. It's coming. You're just gonna wait for the nuance. There is nuance, especially Lenny has more nuance than Squiggy. Actually, Squiggy's got some real nice nuance coming up in right around season 5, season 4. He develops a lot of depth. But yeah, it's interesting how when you workshop something, it becomes something entirely different. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's there's an evolution process to it that I think is kind of cool. How you have this recurring character and your perspective of them changes. I think they become more real through that process, which I think is what I love in this episode too, of getting to see Lenny and the Squigtones, is that seeing how talented they actually kind of are, clarinet notwithstanding, that you're able to see that the boys are not just these goofballs, that they also have their desires, their hobbies, and their dreams and things like that. And that's always kind of cool. I like seeing that in a show. Like I like when someone can pull the veil back a little bit, and what you thought was one thing has a little more going on under the surface. That discovery of under the surface is a lot of fun to me and very emotionally satisfying.
Yeah. And then what's interesting about the whole thing is that even Gloria looks at Lenny and goes, "Hey, you're talented. Let's use you with other acts." Of course, Squiggy gets left behind because it's clarinet playing. But he's not bad at all. And otherwise. And it's like you could tell how much actual talent and intelligence is going on in those guys' heads. When you watch these segments, when you listen to these songs. There is a live album. The live album is rare as hell to find. You cannot find it streaming. You cannot find it in CD format. It only exists in illegal bootlegs and on vinyl pressing. But if you can get your hands on it, kids, it's worth it.
Yeah, the few cuts. There's a couple of cuts I've heard from that, and there's a couple of really good gems, especially for 50s B movie monster fans like myself.
Yes. I still love the line, "Show business is like a lifeboat, Squiggy. Only the talented women and children survive."
Which one am I?
Which one am I?
Oh, man. Anyway, but yeah, moving deeper into the episode, the girls themselves, I think I think what's also interesting here is seeing Laverne and Shirley in this episode be really until the conclusion, to be honest, kind of oblivious to what's going on. Like there's I thought that was kind of interesting. Like they, them at the outset, talking to Carmine, Mr. Rags to Riches, to ask him for advice, and how they it's like, yeah, we've been working on this, and then of course they do the thing, and Carmine's immediate reaction is, oh God, he's like he's almost like mortified, and it's it was it's fascinating because it also allows that they're able to, play with the joke with them, I should say, because usually it's like one or the other in the pair is
Yeah.
is the goofball, and now they're both goofballs, and the characters around them have to be the straight man.
Yeah. This isn't the first time Carmine will react this way to hearing the girls sing.
Oh,
Specifically to hearing the birds sing. That's coming up too.
I mean, to be honest, as much as I like it in the actual performance bit at the end, but their initial scene of them singing Calypso is like a drunk man singing in a Peckinpah movie.
Yeah. It's like, do you know how much there's a point that's made, I forget who made this point, but it is hard to be talented and look untalented. And everybody does such a good job here. And you know how freaking talented they are. Everybody is so freaking talented in this cast.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine how much talent it takes to look this bad. That's what you gotta think of when you're watching, especially when you're watching the girls sing those numbers.
Yep.
Just think how much talent it takes to try to look that bad when you know you're good.
Mm-hmm.
You know you're good. Well,
Yeah,
apparently, according to Penny, they didn't. They're damn good. Yeah. So this is the first. Sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
I was gonna say this is our first Shotz Talent Show episode. We get 3 more. They are basically annual. There's one in season 2, one in season 3, one in season 4. I am pretty sure there is none in season 5. I'm pretty sure. And then of course it ends because they've moved to LA and blah blah blah, new job. So, what do you think of the format? The whole format of it.
I'm looking forward to seeing what else they do with it. Like what new, because it essentially becomes like episodic in the sense of it's what is going to be the new thing that's going to show up at the talent show. What new issue are they going to have to overcome? What are they going to be doing? What are other characters going to possibly be doing? And how are they going to interact? Because I think that's one of the kind of cool things they sort of set up here is that it's for the whole Shotz Brewery, so they can have have a whole new cast of characters come in next year. And I don't know where it goes, so I'm kind of curious, excited. But the format's interesting. It reminds me in some respects of how, as you're saying, like a recurring like season to season thing. It reminds me of like Bob's Burgers. How Bob's Burgers always has like the one musical episode. They often have like one episode they have ones about different holidays, and every year. Because they decided to just go ahead and completely embrace Simpsons-itis and say, okay, we've done 10 years of the show. The kids are never getting older. And so it's in that vein, I feel like, to have this type as a talent show. Talent show episodes typically are another thing that kind of get on my nerves just because, for television, because they're they have a tendency, I think, to often dumb down the humor. They make it kind of very basic common denominator. And I think that's why they use that simplified format and structure. And it was good to see here that they actually added some. You can definitely tell that, like, I guess we talked so much about the prestige of the writer and director of this episode, and you can see why in that they didn't make it. Nothing feels cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of take this format, which you've seen a lot of shows do. We got a lot of Let's Put On a Show kids and a lot of sitcoms.
Yep.
And the way they do this, they set it up and they contextualize it in a way that it makes sense. These brewery workers do this once a year for fun and for the attention of their fellow employees, for the applause, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they do it makes a lot of sense, and the way they stage it is really nice. The staging of this episode is real good. I like the staging of the episode in particular.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, there's a lot to. It's definitely like when we get to the ranking, I think I'll probably put this. I'll have to. I'm still thinking about it in a way, but it's gonna be kind of more.
Mid-tier for me.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, like there's a really high quality professionalism to like how like certain gags are timed and the staging overall, like especially when you get to the Calypso performance at the conclusion or towards the end, where the timing of the people in the grass skirts behind them and the dance and revealing like, well, this guy's got balloons for all the balloons and the coconuts and all of that. It's it's hysterical because and a lot of to make that work is your timing, is your frame, and also is like your framing, like working with the camera department to make sure that the action's being revealed when it has to be, and then making sure that Penny knows where her mark is when she has to notice what's wrong and at what bar of the music it's at, and so on and so forth. So it's really nice, and And yeah, I'd be really curious to even know, like, was the performance done in like a few takes, or did they all try to get it in one as a real performance with like 4 cameras, and how was that done?
Yeah.
Given that this was probably shot on film, my suspicion is it was not, it probably was not done as, this grand Spielbergian wonder or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm actually curious now about this because I have no idea how they filmed it and
Mhm.
how they broke it down and how they broke down the blocking. I'm pretty sure everything happened in front of the studio audience in a single night. I'm pretty sure.
Mhm.
Pretty sure. Some sitcoms, go back and refilm things if it didn't work out in front of the audience. Or they used dress
Right.
footage. In one case, they have used the dress footage in an episode. I will tell you when we get there, and it's a horrifying reason when we get there.
Mm.
But that's the future. That's season 8.
Oh, geez. But but yeah, I mean, it's a good question because I mean, obviously sometimes there'll be inserts that they get without the studio audience and close-ups. They'll sometimes get at the very least as separate takes. They'll reset the camera. But I'm willing to bet, like at most, really, there were only. I mean, from what I've seen, at least from the way the coverage is done, like 2 cameras, I'd say minimum and like 3 maximum. And part of it's just cost at that point because you're probably having to roll and roll and roll. Because it's not like today where like you see an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is what they call as a single camera sitcom, and I mean it's like you set up your camera, you do all your lighting, and your gaffers are working like crazy, and you set up the one shot, you try to get as much in one as you can there, and then get your coverage of that angle, and then move on to the next shot. So
Exactly.
So I'm very curious, like here, because this was at a time when live television was still very much a thing, and people were still doing a lot of live television. So yeah, curious now, curiouser and curiouser.
Curiouser. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there. I was gonna say I think Carol Burnett show had just finished as they were starting with being live every week. So yeah, we were just at the end of that era. I was gonna bring Carmine singing at the Pizza Bowl. This is the first time he sings at the Pizza Bowl. This becomes a recurring job for him. It carries all the way through season 5. Frank takes him on, apparently pays him for this.
Well. What do you think
of that?
I remember it's because there's that line, how much are getting paid? So can we talk about money? It's like, yeah, you owe me $6 for the pizza.
I'm wondering what Frank's wages must look like in a way.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this job for him? He's got a lot of jobs at this point.
Carmine's interesting. This is another interesting side to Carmine, and it shows, to at least what it says to me, is that they really wanted Carmine to be somebody that could be rotating different jobs, and different tasks and different things he could do. I like that it nuances his character. It builds off of the fact that he can sing. He has a good voice. Although I will say, obvious lip sync is obvious, despite it being his real voice. So we now have had him as a boxer, a dance studio instructor, and now as a part-time singer.
What he really wants to do is direct.
Right. Yeah. My issue with that is that it jars me the fact you see that all in one season.
Yeah.
Like obviously we're Parks and Rec fans. I mean, actually, you were one of the people that introduced me to that show, and the thing is, like Tom Haverford doing all the entrepreneurial stuff that he does to that show, it's season to season.
Yes.
So it's like here doing it at, season 14 of 15, and season 1, he's changed job. Like he's changed or he's shown that he could do 2 other different jobs in that one season. That's a bit overkill for me. So it's so I get why it's there. That was my take on it. But that's it. I mean, I enjoyed him being in here. I actually have to say I liked his part in this more than I expected to, almost, against my better judgment. But, and getting to see him overreacted. They're very straight face. So I love the dynamic and when he gives them the critiquing, because they're completely straight faced silliness, and he is and ends up being the goofy loud one in that scene in turn, and that was a cool twist.
Eventually everything pairs down, and he becomes the guy that's known as the song and dance man in a way. Eventually, it feels like in season 1 they were trying to figure out where he is, in Shirley's life and where he is in the scheme of the show. Like, he's Shirley's boyfriend, but we also need Shirley to date, so they can't be that connected. She's got to be free enough to do her thing, but we also want her to be with this guy, this erstwhile boyfriend. Basically, the backup date in a way, but not, because that also develops in time.
Yeah, it's like there's this.
It's interesting.
I guess what it feels like is Carmine in season 1 is they want their cake and eat it too. You know, they want to have the cake and eat it too, and it gets a little.
Which
right.
we get to.
So it's a little weird, a little frustrating. I guess just frustrating at some points, but yeah, but it works here better than it does in other places. And to be honest, I think him as the singer is one of the roles that actually works better for him, just because his temperament is more like what I would expect out of one of those guys that was kind of a singer and kind of music and wanting to get into show business at that time.
Yeah. Well, eventually he makes more sense as a character. Eventually he develops a singular goal, and that becomes more and more and more prominent. His character becomes better in season 6, season 7, more interesting in a lot of ways, and then season 8.
Oh boy, that all goes wrong. Yeah,
everything goes wrong because we lose the book. We flail, we drown. Season 8 is like watching your best friend drown and there's nothing you can do about it. That's what season 8 is like. Season 8 is like.
Anyway, real quick thing though about Carmine before we stop is that there's that line that he's talking about trying to get them to do their calypso and move their hips and move and everything. So he's supposed to show passion, it's supposed to show desire, it's supposed to show your sex. And Laverne's face. That like, yeah, and then Cheryl's like, no, we don't do that. That kills me.
It's so great.
Kills me.
So great.
Oh man.
Laverne's like, yeah, I'll do it. What are you doing? Her exhibitionism becomes a strong thread in this show, and it goes wrong in season 8. Await the sharks in season 8. Now, back to the Carmine and Shirley relationship watch. Since we are technically on relationship watch. He's directly singing to her in that initial pizza bowl scene. And it's like, I wonder if this aired out of continuity, because they're definitely not back together yet. But we know this in the future, this will happen. So I thought that was a little tidbit of the future, so to speak. That was interesting. Very interesting.
It is.
Interesting things afoot.
Yeah.
Not as interesting as Carmine meeting Eddie Fisher, because he was a towel boy, but
right.
Interesting.
Oh, and I love that line, why did he leave Debbie?
Yeah.
Oh.
Why you leave Debbie?
Yeah, that's a good burn. That's a good burn.
Yes.
Yeah, why?
Yes.
Yeah, why, Eddie? Why?
Yeah, yeah. Get his ass. Get his ass. Get his ass. Get his ass.
And yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other. I'm checking also if there's any other details. Oh, that's right. Yeah, coming back to a couple of details. First of all, I love seeing that Boo Boo Kitty is featured again, even though it's just in the backdrop. But Boo Boo Kitty is there, precious stuffed animal friend, and I love another sign of, I think the little touches and detail that they put on this episode, so that even though there's some weak spots, but they find a way to continuously make it entertaining.
Yes.
Is how they flip upside down for for every drop of rain that, and the flower grows. And then the final shot, the exterior shot as it pulls back is also then flipped upside down. And it's, that's a pleasure. And that's something that, I'd forgotten. So I went back to make sure to double check for my notes. I love discovering that.
Yes, I love that. I love that so much. That's one of those little tiny details that just makes the episode kind of sing. It's probably one of the best little minor details they've ever done. Interestingly enough, Penny and Cindy performed this upside down, the song, on the Dinah Shore show. This happened. I've seen footage. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube. I will have to look it up. But that happened. That happened for sure.
Okay. I'm really curious now.
Yeah. I will look that up for you between episodes, actually, because they actually did do that upside down standing on their heads
Gosh.
on the Dinah Shore show. I thought it was funny.
And then as well, getting kind of to the wrap up towards the end of the episode is I love the tag scene of the four goofballs at the end while Carmine sings. It's
I just love that the boys get included as the Yeezys, to quote Frank. I love Frank's introduction for Carmine here. First of all, he was a boxer. And now he's a singer. And now he's a He's a dancer. But I like him best as a singer. I just love that whole. He's talented in both fields. I just love the way Phil Foster delivers that introduction. It still makes me laugh the way he starts to gas Carmine up a little. Like, no, he's a really good singer, I promise.
Yeah, it's gotta hype him up a little bit. I mean, it's Yeah,
I love the way the boys get included as part of the backup. I love the way they arrange them. The way they arrange them down the line is Laverne, Lenny, Shirley, Squiggy. So you can kind of arranging them by the way they're always arranged: boy, girl, boy, girl. And I also love their differences, the way they perform this number. I love watching the different levels of how they're all each going for it in different ways. David is so committedly Squiggy in this bit. It is great.
Yeah, he is so lost. He's like, I don't know what's going on. It's like he's so confused, and it's adorable and hilarious.
Yes. He's so committedly Squiggy, and Squiggy is so... He's trying to get the choreography and keep up with the choreography, but he has absolutely no idea why Lenny is suddenly next to him.
Right. And I also love the to that note as well. It's almost like Squiggy is the kid who like missed the rehearsals for the school play, and so he doesn't know. Like you even see the way he looks out, almost like out of the crowd, like and he's like waiting for someone to cue him on what he needs to do. You
can compare that to Lenny and going full on theater kid. He is full on theater kidding in this bit, which is so great. You can see Michael's theater roots here. He's just like gustoing. It's so hard
with gusto,
and that's hilarious.
Yeah,
much gusto.
Is good.
Yeah, and then you compare that to Cindy and Penny, who are both Laverne and Shirley. And the girls are both not only holding their own, but completely staying within character as well. And just like, sadly, the sad thing is Carmine kind of fades in the background because you're not paying attention to Carmine anymore.
Right.
That's the thing.
I mean, I don't mind. Just like, no, get out of here. Just put him over there. Put him over there. He's fine. He's fine.
We don't mean to bash Carmine so much. We don't.
I'm going to end up. I might antagonize our fan base by accident. I apologize.
I don't even know. No, there was a big Carmine and Shirley contingent at one point. I don't know if they're out there. We promise you, good stuff's coming. We'll be nice.
Yeah.
We'll be nice. Nice. But it's interesting. In the end, the show posits through Gloria's eyes that the combined force of the talent of all of these people is somehow a smaller talent than a guy playing Toot Toot Tootsie by smacking his palms on his eyeballs.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know how the hell he's better than the girls, 'cause he's not, but that's Gloria's sense of taste.
Yep.
Yeah. This is a darn good episode. This darn good episode is not perfect. Not perfect for me, but it's darn good. To me, one last thing I wanted to bring up is that the girls both have such a different way of resolving the conflict in their lives, which the show will continuously bring up. It brings up in this episode. And normally Shirley is very meek and timid and peacemaker. This time she is not. This time she is ready to kick ass and take every single name in the book. And I thought that was a nice little twist for her, because she is normally, post the pilot, she is never normally allowed to be that aggressive again. Think about that.
Interesting. That's kind of, Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Just I'm thinking on that. And also just the as we're just saying, yeah, this the I mean, I don't want to belabor the point, but yeah, just adding those nuances or interesting touches. And I guess that's why this episode does kind of for me, because I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about it, and
Yeah.
it's different at times, but still within character.
Yeah.
Like it's a unique way of taking the characters or facets of them and then bolstering those with the material.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. I just think that it is fascinating to me because you have the girls each in their own in their own narrative boxes in a way.
Mm.
In a way, in their narrative boxes, in a way, not. Because normally it's Laverne out there, kicking people's teeth at Peoria. And
Right.
normally Shirley's the peacemaker. And then this time it's completely reversed. And Shirley kind of gets them into this one.
Right.
Because Laverne already hated Gloria. She already knew where she stood. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, what would you rank this one?
For me personally, it's a pretty good like 6.5, almost a 7. But like realistically speaking, it's more of a 6, just because I think it is very funny, but I wish it had a little more weight. And I agree. I think the aspect of payoff would have been nice to have seen. I think it's like if they had gotten to the ending that they did use, it needed to be earned a little more. That that I guess that's the catch, is that if you're gonna do the twist ending or a turnaround on it, you have to earn it. You can't just do everything beat for beat the same way, or maybe not can't. You just have to be careful, I guess is what I mean. Because
Yes.
I me, I've pulled the rug out from under my audiences a couple times to mixed results. So
Yes. To me, this is just a solid, probably, I give it like a 5.5 to a 6.5. Watch Star-Crossed, kids.
mm-hmm.
CBS is still dicking us, will not give us streaming so far.
Mm-hmm.
Your only options are to either see this on YouTube, to watch the logo reruns. We encourage you to watch logo reruns so we can prove that there is interest in the show, or buy the DVDs. And I actually encourage the DVDs over anything at the moment because they're the closest, season 1 especially, the closest you can come to an uncut version of the show.
Right. Yeah.
It gets complicated as the seasons go on.
Oh boy.
When it comes to that, wait for those musical substitutions. They're coming.
Oh, that's
Season
right.
two
Yeah.
Season 2 is an amazing season, and it kicks you right in certain areas of your body with what it chooses to do.
Oh, my spleen.
Yeah, my spleen.
No, it's gonna
I'm
go
making-
crawling and scaring the angry beavers now.
My uvula. But look this up. Look it up, kids.
Yep.
Stream the song. Listen to it.
It's good.
It's damn good. It's seminal. It's important. It's seminal, important, both within the canon of the show and both within the boys being the boys. This is the first Shotz talent show. For that alone, it's enjoyable. Plot-wise, it is a little light. Plot-wise, you have the problem of it not really resolving well or in an interesting manner. It really could have used more solid button. It could have used a firmer button, but Gloria is a perfect Laverne foil. We unfortunately never get to see her again.
Yep. Really, really wish we could have seen her again. Leland Palmer owns that role.
Yeah. God, she's amazing. She is my second favorite Laverne rival. We have not met Big Rosie Greenbaum yet. We're about to. She is a pistol, and I love her. Shout out to Carolina White. I know you're out there, girl, on the twits. You're a badass, and we love your performance. And we will. He will. I love it. I can confirm.
I haven't seen that particular performance. I saw the other one.
Yeah.
The other one was great.
Well, wait till we get here. Wait till we get there. Rosie's the best. I love her so much.
Awesome.
This is about, right mid-range for me. It's got some really important moments. Some really good moments. Track them down. Watch them when you can. Try to prove we got some interest going. This show being streamed. And, yeah.
Fingers crossed.
It's good. Good, but not perfect. It's not my favorite episode of the season. But it's got some great points and some important seminal moments.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
I guess that wraps us up then for today, yeah?
Yes, it does.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much, everyone out there in the darkness, for joining us on this. Actually, well, we're technically in our own confined space on other sides of the country, so we don't actually have
Yes.
the weather or time. It's all funky dunky here. So anyway, if you would like to watch more, or I guess listen to more of us, please definitely look for us at Night After Night Pod on most of the different places. If you'd like to contact us on the social media hellscape, we are on Twitter at Night After Night PC, as well as Night After Night Pod on Facebook and Tumblr. And as well, there's a Patreon if you'd like to give us some support and check out those incentive bonuses. And yeah, I think that's mostly the main way to kind of get in touch and keep. Hopefully, you'll be keeping watching with us because we're having ourselves a good time, good old time. And
If you got any questions, do you have any questions for us? Would you like to interact with us? Do you have any comments? We have an email address, nightafterNightPod@gmail.com. Come interact with us. Give us something to read.
yes. Yeah, please. We have far too much time on our hands, as well as far too little time on our hands simultaneously. It's a bizarre paradox, which I think many people can relate to these days, and so on and so forth. But yes,
Make our quarantine hell happier.
yes,
That's
and
it for this week.
the next episode is going to be the last of this season, isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
Oh,
This is Mother Knows Worst. Shirley's mom comes to visit her, and it turns into a disaster.
yeah, okay, that sums up pretty nicely. I mean, that's going to be exciting to see what shenanigans ensue.
There will
Awesome.
be many shenanigans and much shenaniganing.
Shenanigans. Yeah.
Shenunus. Shenabes.
Yeah. But anyway, thanks again, everyone. Thank you again, Lisa, for dragging me in on all this. This was an episode that definitely was a lot of fun to go through.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's good time.
Wait till we get to season 2, season 3.
Oh man,
This is gonna be some awesome stuff ahead. At least the next 2 or 3 seasons, we got a lot of solid ones coming towards us.
cool, excellent. Well, until next time, everyone. We'll see you at the final episode of season 1 of Laverne and Shirley. And from all of us here at the Night After Night Pod team, just wish you well. Have a good day.
Have fun, kids. Have fun.
Mhm.